Hey, Roy, Dan Walken, USA Today. You're in this tournament 30-something times. You figure at one point or another you're going to get popped in the first round. It's just simple math. You never have. When you see something like last night, how do you put into perspective for yourself that not getting beat in the first round is one of your accomplishments in your career?
Well, that was unbelievable. I'm telling you, it was, if I'm not mistaken, 21-21 at halftime, and we're going in to eat, and the second half is starting. And I said, guys, I'm not doing this anything against Ryan Odom. I love Dave. I almost went to work for Dave at one time. I said, I'm not watching this. I'm going back to my room, and I'm going to watch Texas A&M at Providence. There's no way that's going to happen. So we have beds over here. There's a TV, and then around the corner, I've got a nice room. Around the corner, I'm watching the Texas A&M Providence, and I go back and I look, and I thought, good gosh. And then I go back, and then I go back and look, and I finally watched the last 3 or 4 minutes. So that was unbelievable. And we always try to just talk about playing one game, just one game. I've never spoken to our guys about, okay, we're a 2 seed and they're a 15 seed. I don't really think that I've ever said that to them. I said the better we play, the better seed we get, the better chance we have of continuing. Last night I saw the thing up on the TV, and I really try not to get caught up in any records or anything like that, but that's one I've been very proud of. I thanked the team in the locker room. I said, hey, thanks, that's a pretty good streak. We kept it going. But because when I saw it up there at 28-0 in the first round, and I know when we tied Coach Smith's record, I think his was 17 or something like that. So it's something I've been proud of. But other than that, I really don't get caught up in those record kind of things. I can tell you all 5 times I shot 69 and those kind of things. But so to answer the part of it about saying it to my team, I always try to prepare them. I did tell them this, that I may miss the year 2002. We were in St. Louis. We were 1. Holy Cross was a 16, and they had the lead with 5 or 6 minutes to play. And we came back and won. And then the next game, Kirk Heinrich had hurt his foot in the Holy Cross game, and he's sitting on the end of the bench with his leg up in there in the ice, and I didn't know if he was going to play. And we got off to such a great start against Stanford. We had them 18-0. And so I have been aware of it, and I've said some things, but never made a big deal of it, except let's do everything we can, be as successful as we can, because when that big tournament starts, which is what we really aim for, perhaps will be a little easier to start. But that was I was shocked. I kept thinking it's something April Fool's Day or something. I didn't know what the crap was going on.
Back aisle.
Jenna Fryer, Associated Press. You recruit kids that expect to be on this stage, and they are accustomed to playing and enjoying these moments. What do you think the UMBC kids are feeling right now and going through? And how, as an educator and as a coach, how special is that, do you think, to see those kids have that one chance?
Yeah, that's the beauty of the tournament. I mean, it's hard on coaches. One game bad, you're gone. But that's the beauty of the tournament, and to see those kind of things. And as I said, I've been there a couple times when it's been awfully close. But you have to feel so good. I watched at the end. I have no idea what the guys were saying on TV because I had paid no attention to them. I was just watching the kids run around, and, it's called a hugger. You don't care how smelly or sweaty somebody is. They just run and hug each other, and seeing the people in the stands and the people they identified as parents. I was really looking to see if they'd show Dave Odom, because he has been a good friend for a long time, a North Carolina guy. And then the other thing is I was almost as stunned by the way Coach Odom handled himself. He was so dadgum. I said, Jesus Christ, son, do you realize what just heck happened? I'd be running around acting a little crazy or something. But I was really impressed with how he handled it. But the kids, and I've said many times, and I get corny at times, but that's the biggest thrill in coaching is seeing the looks on your kids' faces when they've accomplished something really important, and especially if it was really hard to do. And that's, in basketball, that's Chaminade against Ralph Sampson, I can't even think of anything else that's close to that. So those UMBC kids, they had a tough time going to sleep last night, and so did Coach Odom too. He had to go inside and scream or something.
Third row.
Roy, Aaron Beard, AP. You said to this group if they were going to play the small lineup, they had to rebound if they wanted to stick with it. And you guys are second in the country in rebounding margin, maybe in a little bit more unconventional fashion with how you guys go after it on the offensive glass. Did you think this group could ultimately rebound as well as they have? And does anything change when you're going up against a team with that much size?
Well, I'm mad because we're number 2. We were number 1 for a while, so I got on them for losing that lead kind of thing. But I've heard, Aaron, you've heard me before, I think it's the most critical factor in the game, the way we play. Now, maybe somebody else plays it different or they can convince themselves, but I knew that we would be a real good rebounding team because if they didn't rebound and didn't box out, they weren't going to play. I'd find 5 guys that would. But also we emphasized it so much that they bought into it. It's been harder, because Kenny Meeks was naturally a great rebounder. Isaiah could go get him. Justin had 3 or 4 games where he was double digits rebound. Tony Bradley was a great rebounder. So the surprise of being able to do it at that level is there. But if we don't do it, we don't win, is the way I look at it. Now you watch Texas A&M, and they're maybe the biggest team I've ever looked at. And so we've got to try to do it at a higher level now than about anybody else that we've played. We've had 3 or 4 games where the other team out-rebounded us. Duke's out-rebounded us, and they've got similar size like that. But A&M's got it through some of their perimeter players as well. So it's got to be the primary focus for us. But I thought we'd be a good rebounding team, but perhaps at the level we are, maybe even surprise me.
On the aisle to our right.
Hey, Roy, Gabe Bach with Texags. When you dive into the tape of A&M, how have they really changed since T.J. Starks really started handling the controls and coming into his own?
I never watched A&M tape until last night, and so I didn't see when they've had 2 point guards that they started with, one hurt and one suspended. So I never saw them when they had those guys. I said in a press conference last night, I remember watching 5 or 6 minutes of the early game, the one that was, again, I keep saying it was outside the country. Was it Germany? Yeah. I remember, against West Virginia. I remember watching a little bit of that. And then I saw them play a little bit against Kentucky and a little bit against Kansas. And so until yesterday, I didn't have enough knowledge to even talk about it. But that's the way I do everybody. Normally, I will watch a game tape the night before we play someone. Now, with Lipscomb is a little different. I knew Sunday that we were going. So I'd watch 3 full games on Lipscomb. Well, Brad Frederick had that team. He watched 12 games. Okay, Hubert Davis has got A&M. By tomorrow when we play, he will have watched 10 or 12 games. So I'll get a more idea. But I know Billy, and I said last night I can't have any more respect for anybody than I would him. And I'm not trying to act like we're bosom buddies. I mean, I always say hello, and I do. And when I heard about what was going on with him a few years back, I said something to him. But he's a fantastic guy, a fantastic coach who the focus that he has is just incredible to me. So I've known a little bit more about them just because trying to see how he's doing.
Front row.
Friedlander, North State Journal. Roy, Sterling and Garrison over the last 2-3 weeks have started playing a little bit more, getting more involved. Is that just a matter of freshmen developing and now being more confident, ready? And how much are those two going to have to really contribute against that big Texas A&M team?
I'd like to say it's coaching, but I think it is just kids developing. And 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whenever it was, I decided to go small. And then all of a sudden, later than that, I said, hey, wait a minute, I got to try to help these kids be developed too. So we're going to give them more opportunities. I'm not going to forget them completely. And so we're trying to give them more time. We're putting them in the game in difficult situations and expecting them to perform. If they don't perform, I chastise them. If they do perform, I pat them on the back. But we give them more chances. But what they've done so far has been good. But now this is going to be maybe the biggest challenge they've had. I mean, it's similar to Duke because with Wendell and Marvin, the guys they play are that size. The difference is going to be the guys that Theo and Kenny Williams are going to guard. But they've got to come through for us. They've got to be big. Go ahead.
How big a deal is it that they've stayed engaged and they didn't sulk and they didn't
Well, I'm very lucky that they're not that kind of kids, but that's who I look for anyway. And I tell them, Every kid I recruit, every kid. I didn't tell Tyler Hansbrough came to North Carolina thinking he was going to play behind Marvin Williams and Sean May. Every kid I recruit, I tell them it's going to be hard, and I am not a nice guy. I am going to be hard on you. I'm going to push you more than you've ever pushed. So that part of it I don't really get into.
Second row, right in front of you, Coach.
Joe.
Joe Giglio with the News and Observer. For all these years, teams have tried to solve your size. Is there anything you picked up from them that you can try to solve Texas A&M size?
Teams have tried to spread us and milk the clock more is the way they've gone after us over the years. That doesn't really fit me. I don't really think that I could do it. But the other way they've done it is when we've driven the ball to the basket, they blocked every shot. So we've tried to make sure that we stop a little short. But no, their size is impressive. I just did an interview with Coach Thompson's group, and he said it may be the biggest team that he's ever seen. And it really, when you look at how big they're, during the opening tip, look at the guy that Kenny's going to stand beside and the guy Theo's going to stand beside. They're big guys that are as big as some of the other big guys we're playing against, but they're perimeter guys with a lot of size. So you got to get them off of you before you try to take an outside shot. So you got to create some space with your dribble. You got to try to take them to the basket and go right out by them and not try to stretch it out, because against a shot blocker, if you go do all this dipsy-do stuff and stretch it out, you just give them space to find it and block it. We got to hope that we can get them in foul trouble and get down to some of those other guys. But they're here because they're really good, and hopefully we're here because we're really good too. But I didn't sleep really well last night, and it wasn't just because I was excited about us winning or stunned by Virginia. I was sort of watching that tape right before I went to bed. I have a bad enough time sleeping, and they added to it last night.
Standing.
But we are not going to spread it and hold it, though. I'll just give you a clue.
Phil Orton from WSOC here in Charlotte. Luke said that when his shot's not falling, you stay on him about remaining involved in the game in other ways. What is your message to him when you see maybe he doesn't have it?
Some things are not meant to be shared with everybody. I chewed his butt out last night. I said, you're one of the best players in America. You're first team All-ACC, third team All-American. Just be Luke. Quit worrying about things. Just play basketball. But sometimes I get a little more heated with him. And last night I kept him out a little bit because I wanted just to see if I could get him simmering over there a little bit. But he can't beat the world by himself. And I love kids who care. And Luke May really cares. And I don't have to coach Luke very much. Just push him a little bit and with a little finger, and that's about it.
Middle of the room to our right.
Richard Kroom, Bryan College Station Eagle. Coach, you guys have had a lot of highlights. A&M hasn't had as many in NCAAs. One of them, though, was beating North Carolina in 1980. I believe you were a student grad assistant or assistant coach. Do you remember that game at all?
Part-time assistant. Part-time assistant means full-time job, part-time pay. I remember that very well.
So you remember that part. Do you remember any of the game?
I remember that very well. I'll give you a trivia question. Have you ever seen a game where you have the last shot to win the game and lose by 17 or 19? Because that was that game. Was it 17? So we had the last shot to win the game in regulation and missed it, and they beat us by 17. I remember that game, yes. Walking out of the gym in Denton, Texas, and Eddie Fogler looked at me and says, we got to get to Albany, New York. There's a guy named Sam Perkins up there that we need to help us.
Roger Rubin from the Fieldhouse. Roy, does Manley have an increased role for tomorrow because of his size?
Not really. I mean, what I do is I put him in first or Garrison in first, and whoever plays the best the first time we get in there, they get a little more time. Last night I thought Sterling defensively would help us a little bit against Marbury, because make it more difficult. But Garrison got in, had 3 assists, and did some good things, so we went back with him first. So it's a go by the seat of the pants kind of thing. I didn't like the way Sterling, there was a screen and roll, and I didn't like the way he got back to the roll guy, and so I took him out and put Garrison in. In the first play, Garrison did it well, but when I put Sterling back in, he got like 3 rebounds in a row. So it's more of a seat of the pants kind of thing.
Again to our left.
Coach, Cam said yesterday, he had 7 rebounds yesterday, but he said late in the game you pulled him one time because he didn't crash the boards. And he said maybe one of the biggest adjustments about playing for you is that constant mandate of never letting up. Even a guy like him, he's got 7 boards, he's banged up, but he didn't do it one time and you pulled him out, being a constant reminder. How has he handled transitioning into dealing with the mandate that you give these guys, regardless of what the circumstances are?
Well, he dealt with Jamie and he dealt with Kevin. Now he's dealt with me. He's dealt with 3 Stooges. Maybe I'm the worst of the 3, but he's already done it. And he's in a demanding family. His dad has pushed him, and he pushes himself. But he's dealt with 3 different personalities in 4 years because he redshirted 1 year. But I'd already taken, I think I'd taken Kenny out for that reason once as well. I exposed and said it straightforward to Cam about it. I took Cam out because he didn't go to the boards. Because in the first half, I was really ticked because Luke May shot the ball twice. And I got 4 guys standing outside the 3-point line, and not one daggum guy went to the board. And that happened twice. So I ripped all of them at that point, and I felt like that should be enough. And the one that I took Cam out was in the second half. But I'm not going to tell Luke May that you can't shoot because we don't have anybody rebound. Those other guys better get their butts up there and rebound also, because Luke's our best percentage shooter from 3 and maybe our best from overall as well. But his doesn't go in all the time either. Somebody's got to go rebound it. And if I'm not mistaken, we were up rebounding-wise like 3 or 4 in the first half, and I think we ended up being up by 18 or 19.
Middle of the room aisle.
Yeah, Roy, the last couple of years you've been to the tournament, your program's been under scrutiny for things that happened off the court.
Mm-hmm.
Has life returned to normal this year? And especially given the context of all the other things going on in college basketball, has that been nice for you that you haven't had to deal with that?
It really has been. For the last 3 or 4 years, I've been on record as saying the kids and my time on the basketball court with the kids has been, I'm not trying to be too dramatic, but it's been my salvation. If I hadn't had those, I would have gotten out the door. But I felt like I needed to stay and see the thing through. I didn't feel like I had anything to do with it. But boy, those kids really made me feel good about being with them. And this fall, we had a couple of guys visit who were top 10 or top 15 kids. We hadn't even been able to get those kids on campus for 3 or 4 years. So that felt better. There's no question about it. And coming to a press conference when I say, guys, come on, let's please talk about the tournament, and other people wanted to talk about the other stuff, it wasn't nearly as much fun. So, yeah, it's been more fun. This team has been sort of like the rest of them. They've really been a salvation for me, even though I've been having more fun anyway, so it hadn't been needed as much. But, no, you're exactly right. I think you said pleasant. I think that's terminology used, and it's been more pleasant for me, yes.
Last question, back left.
Roy, we got into your feelings on tights the other day in Chapel Hill, but do you have any rules on what
Now, wait a minute, there were a lot of other people around. Let's make sure you understand, if we're going to talk about tights, it's not just me and you.
So do you have any rules as far as what your guys can wear as far as headbands, tights, any of that kind of stuff, or any feelings on that?
Headbands went the way of Gonzaga in 2006 in Madison Square Garden when I walked out on the court and I got 5 or 6 guys in headbands. We got beat, we stunk, and there's never been a headband and never will be another headband on a North Carolina player, period, the end. Shane Battier, if he wanted to come back play, we'd talk about it, but we wouldn't wear a headband, okay? Tights, I kid them all the time. Now all my coaches wear them out there. I told him I'm really going to surprise him one day. I'm going to walk out with some tights on, and Theo just about puked right there. So, but it's crazy to me. You wear them on one leg and not on the other, and I see that. And you wear it the next day, you may switch. I tell them I wouldn't mind wearing them because sometimes it's cold. But, no, that is honestly the full extent of our conversation of tights. Let's make sure we understand that. Guys, thank you very much.